Okay, so the 2024 paper 2, question 1. They said to calculate the value of the square root of, in brackets, 7.1 squared plus 2.9 squared. Right, the square root of that there inside the bracket, inside the square root symbol. Given your answer correct to two significant figures. What does two significant figures mean? That means two not the first two non-zero digits, right? So what I did basically, I write back the square root symbol and I work out 7.1 squared plus 2.9 squared, and I had got 58.82. Then I find the square root of 58.82, and I got 7.6694. But this is not the two significant figures, right? I want you to write the answer to two significant figures. So this is the first significant figure, this is the second significant figure. This is the third significant figure, and it's greater than or equal to 5. Well, actually, it's greater than 5, right? It's supposed to be greater than or equal to 5 for you to round off the previous number, which is 6. In this case, it's greater than 5. So we go round off that 6 after the decimal point, and therefore our final answer would be 7.7. And this is the two significant figures, right? So that's the answer there for part 1. Now, part 2, they want to answer to two decimal places, which means they really want the answer written where you have two numbers, two digits after the decimal point, right? So we can use back the same thing here. So we have 7.6694, but the two decimal places, there's going to be one decimal place here, there's going to be the second decimal place here. Look at the number 9, that is in the third decimal place. It says that we need to round off the previous term, the previous digit, which is 6. So therefore our final answer will be 7.67, right? And this is the two decimal place, 2 dp decimal places, right? Decimal points, decimal places, same thing, right? So that is our final answer, 7.67. That's an easy 2 marks right there to script from this exam, right? Now they say write the following quantities in ascending order, which means smallest, right? Smallest to biggest, smallest to largest, right? Same thing. So just by remembering the definition for ascending order, you would have been able to get through with this. But they are written in different forms. This is a fraction, 12 over 25 is a fraction, 0.46 is a decimal, 47 is a percentage. You want to write all the terms here of the same form, in the same form. So what I will do, I write 12 over 25 as a decimal, 12 divided by 25, right? So I can put out here 12 divided by 25, and I will get it as a decimal, 0.48. Well, I have 0.46 already as a decimal. I could write 47 as a decimal, simply say 47 divided by 100, because it's a percentage. There's a decimal point here, move it 2 spaces to the left. I get 0.47. 0.47. Right? If I were to state this now from smallest to biggest, 0.46 is the smallest number, so that will come here. 0.46. The other number that's a little greater than that would be 0.47, right? And then the other number would be 0.48, right? But if you want, you could just write it back in the same form that they have inside here. So you can put, instead of 0, well, you can leave the 0.46 there, but instead of 4.47, you can write the 47%. Nothing wrong with that. Instead of 0.48, you could write 12 over 25. Same thing, right? So you could just write the given terms there from smallest to biggest. But this is how it's identified. And next way you can identify it, just convert these two terms here to percentage and compare it to the 47%. And then state it from smallest to biggest. Right? It don't really matter. Right? Once you state it from smallest to biggest. Now part B here, we have Mahendra and Jaya shared $7,224 in this ratio here. 7-5. How much more money does Mahendra receive than Jaya? So he received more money, right? Because they say more. So you know Mahendra received more money, but you don't know how much more. So what we're gonna do here now, let me find out how much money Mahendra gets. So Mahendra, right? Mahendra gets 7 out of the sum of the ratio. That would be 7 plus 5, which is 12. So you get 7 out of 12 multiplied by the total amount that was shared between the two people, which is 7,224. Right? So the ratio is stated 7-5. So 7 is really relating to Mahendra and 5 is really relating to Jaya. We call that respectively. Right? So this is how much Mahendra gets. I believe you'll get 4,000. So 4,214. And Jaya, let's see how much Jaya receives. So she gets, how much she gonna get by well, her value for the from the ratio here is 5 out of the total amount, which is 12, multiply by the total amount of money shared, which is 7,224. This will be equal to 3,010 dollars. So we know how much Mahendra get, we know how much Jaya gets. So how much more money does Mahendra get than Jaya? You just subtract the two. That's all you're really doing. So Mahendra, right, receive um 4,214 minus 3,010, right? So Mahendra receive basically $1,204 more, right, than Jaya, right? That's basically how much you receive there. So let me go on to part C now. So the answer is $1,204, right? More than Jaya. That is how much you receive. So part C, the present population of Portsmouth is 550,000. It is expected that this population will increase by 42% by the year 2030. And the way you write this in standard form, that's really easy. Just give away marks. So 550,000, right? You know you have a decimal point here, so you have to shift this decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just before the first non-zero digit. So write 5.5 multiply by 10. Well, how much spaces you move it to the left hand side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since it's to the left, it's positive 5 as the power, right? Standard form, you always write into the form A multiplied by 10 to the power of n. This case, n is 5, A is the 5.5. Right? Simple as that. So I could just put it back here. 5.5 multiplied by 10 to the power of 5 in standard form. Part 2, calculate the expected population of Portmount in 2030. Well, this one also real easy. So what you have to do here is simplify 42% of the 550,000. So 42 as a percent is 42 over 100, and you're multiplying that by the total amount there, which is 550,000. Yeah, you have a calculator, so you have to utilize the calculator in the exam. So this is 231,000, right? That is 42% of the 550,000. But I said increasing by this amount, by this percentage. So therefore, if it's increasing, you have to add this to the original 550,000, right? So the expected, right, population, right, would therefore be equivalent to 231,000 plus the original amount, which is 550,000, right? So your final answer here should be 781,000 people. Yeah, people. Assuming it's people they're talking about, right? And that's basically the answer there. That is a 1 mark there. You gotta utilize the calculator. So part D here now, they say the graph below can be used to convert between United States dollars, US dollars, and Eastern Caribbean dollars, EC dollars. Right? So you have money conversion here basically. So let's say using the graph convert 2 US dollars to EC dollars. So you have to read off this. This is a read off. Right? So you look on your y axis here, you have US dollars. You want to convert 2 US dollars to EC dollars. On your X, you have EC dollars. So you just draw a line here using your ruler, of course. Right? And then you come down. Right? So this line kind of thick. But I get it. I could say that is like 5.3 EC dollars. Right? By read off. That is the value I get in there when I read it off. Right? 5.3 EC dollars. But I ordered it to 2 decimal place because they delivered money. So $5.30 EC dollars. Right? And you could say this is by read off. Right? So you could also write as a point. It's 5.30, comma 2. Right? Get a custom rating points, right? So your value could vary for this one. It could be 5.20 to like 5.4. Right? That depends on your thickness of your line and stuff like that. And as you can see, this is a scan document here, so it's not to scale, right? Anyway, part 2, convert 70 EC dollars to US dollars. So in a case like this, if you look back at your graph here, you don't have no 70 EC dollars, right? You don't have 7 EC dollars. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say, because I know there's conversion factor here, I could say, I could state that I have, let's see. So what I could say here is the US, well, 2 US dollars that was equivalent to $5.30 EC dollars. So I have like a conversion factor here basically, right? But I want to find for 70 EC dollars. So I could say $5.30 EC dollars, that is equivalent to basically 2 US dollars. So if I want to find for 1 EC dollar, I just divide both sides by the 5.30. Right? I divide both sides by 5.30. Right? 5.30. 5.30 divided by 5.30 cancel off. What you're going to end up with there is 1 EC dollar is equal to basically go back to US. How much dollars in US? 2 all over 5.30. But I want to find for 70 EC dollars, right? So I could now multiply both sides by 70. I want to find for 70 EC dollars. So if I multiply this 1 here by 70, 1 by 70 is 70 EC dollars. That is equal to the right back US. The dollars they had on the right hand side was 2 all over 5.30. But since you multiply the left hand side by 70, you need to do the same thing to the right hand side, multiply by 70. Right? So when you work out this, you're gonna get 70 EC dollars is therefore equal to when you multiply that there, you should get something around 26.41 US dollars, right? So yeah, that is basically the question one day, and that is your final answer here, right? So this wasn't too bad at all. That was like easy 9 marks there, right? So we see if we could zoom out here now, just to display everything, right? Nice. And display this page here and this page here, right? So that should be it there for that question one.